Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Code Talk Tuesday. Today, this week, we're going to be talking about Introduction to Web Design. You are welcome to follow me as I'm going to be showing you some snippets of code and we're going to be writing some code. As I said in the Moodle announcement, you will have to install Visual Studio Code if you do not have it. But if you do not have it right now, you can just follow along and see what happens. And later you can follow the steps that we will do today and try it for yourself. But let's talk about web design, what it is, why we do it, what's the fuss, why is it so important? Basically, everything you see on the internet, every single web page you see, that was made by somebody. It was coded, it was done with the help of web design. Now, it is basically the official definition of web design is the process of creating and maintaining websites. Again, very simple. If you want to be working with websites, there is a couple of routes you can take to get that position. There's a couple of different positions that you can have whenever you're working with website. First one is front-end developer. What that means is everything that you see visually, that is what the front-end developer does. So basically, everything that's visual, everything that you see on the website, a front-end developer coded that. There's also the back-end developer. Back-end developer is everything that we don't see as a user. So every time you are logging into your account, right, the authentication that is happening in the background. So everything that's happening in the background, that is the work and the job of the back-end developer. There's also another position, full stack developer. What that means is that is a professional who is comfortable with doing both of these things, being on the front end and being on the back end. If you do not want to code, but you also want to be a part of the web design task force, what you can do is be a graphic designer and design what these websites will look like, and then pass it on to either the front-end developer or a full stack developer for them to start coding that website. All right, key technologies that we're going to discuss today is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'm going to show you a couple of things with HTML and with CSS. JavaScript, that's going to be a later lecture, but today what we're going to do, we're just going to create a little website. Not even a full website. I'm just going to show you how HTML works and how CSS works. And if that is something that interests you, please make sure to let me know, and I will do more lectures on web design because in my opinion, it's pretty cool. So what is HTML? HTML is basically the structure of your website. So where things are supposed to go. Think of boxes on any web page that you look at. The box for logging in or signing up, the box for information, the box for pictures. This is HTML. So you're building the structure of your website, potential website. After that, after you have all of your content and all of your structure lined up, you will have to use CSS. CSS is how we make the website pretty, how we make it nice to look at. So just very simple thing to remember. HTML to build the structure, CSS to make the structure look pretty. And JavaScript is one of the languages that is being used for responsiveness of your website. So if you want something to pop when the user joins your website, right, some sort of alert to be displayed when they enter the wrong password or the wrong login info, this is all gonna come from JavaScript. Now we're gonna look at we're just gonna look at a couple of things about HTML that you need to know. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. As I said before, it's just a basic structure of your website, and then you can modify that structure with CSS and JavaScript. There are tags, think of them as building blocks, tags of HTML. Tags are used to create elements, and then inside of that element, you can put your content. Again, it might sound complicated right now, but I'm going to show you an example. It's not that difficult. An example would be P right here is a tag, and another P is another tag. So the first one that doesn't have, you see the slash right here, is what we call a starting tag. And the last one is what we call the end tag. Now, all of the content that's inside of these tags is going to be displayed on your screen. Again, we're going to dive into that. All right, let's code. Let's have some HTML. Let me share my screen. Again, this is where I want you to open Visual Studio Code if you want to follow me. You will have to create either a new file. I would recommend create a folder on your desktop. So anywhere, just click create a new folder and then open that folder within Visual Studio Code. Open your Visual Studio Code. And then to open that folder, what you need to do, click somewhere on File. I'm on Mac OS. It might look different on Windows, but all you need to do, just click on Open Folder. You can also open your folder right here. And let's see which one I want to open. It's on a desktop right here, Web Design. All right, after you open your folder, the first thing that we need to create is the HTML file. To create that file, click on the new file right here, the button, new file, and I want you to call it index.html. Now, every single file, every single website has this file, index.html. This is your landing page. This is what loads every single time you go onto any of the websites. This is the first thing that's going to load, index.html. Let me see. Actually, I will show you a couple more things before we begin. There's a couple of extensions that are very useful when you are working with web design in Visual Studio Code. So click on extensions. Again, follow me if you feel like it. And you want to install two extensions. First one is called Prettier. Prettier is right here. You just have to click on it, click on Prettier and click install. Somewhere here is going to be install. What that does, it's just gonna help you with your code is just gonna look better, and it's gonna format your code so it does look better when you look at it. And another one, let me see which one was another one. Another one was HTML. So just type HTML and it has this blue icon right here, HTML, CSS support, CSS IntelliSense for HTML. Again, just click, install that, and you might be familiar. You saw this word before in our Code Talk Tuesdays, IntelliSense. This is the thing that helps you do the code completion. So it does the code completion for you. Again, I showed you how it works with when you type P, and it's gonna automatically show you, do you want to type print? So this is what this extension is, HTML CSS support. And another one, the last one, is going to be the format. Let me see, I have it somewhere. I think it's called, let me see, formatting toggle. So right here, just type formatting toggle in your extensions. And what this one does, it's gonna toggle basically, if you want your code to be prettier, you can toggle this one on. If you don't want it to auto correct your spaces and your tabs and stuff like that, then you can turn it off. It's gonna show up right here at the very bottom of your screen, enable or disable formatting. All right, let's go back. If you guys need me to stop, if somebody's following me, just holler at me, tell me, hey, I need a second, and it's all good. But we have our index.html file right here. So we have to start with actually creating the head of our HTML file. In VS Code, it's very simple. We will go through it through what this means a little bit later, not right now. Just for now, everything that you need to know is every single HTML file needs to have this. You just need to type exclamation point and click enter. So this is the thing that we get. This is the skeleton of our HTML file. We have the HTML tag right here that specifies that language is English. So everything that we will be typing is in English. And right here, this is what we're going to be sending to our browser. The title, this is what our page is going to be named. This is the encoding that we have, and how this website should be displayed, basically. Then what we need to be mindful of is the body right here. What I usually do, I just separate the body from the rest, just so I know that it is here. The body, this is where we're going to put all of our content. So let's try to rename our website. Let's say, call it My First Website. Again, to save your file, you just need to click Command S or Control S, depending on your system. Command S for Mac OS, Control S for Windows. So Command S, we saved our file. You see how this one collapsed? This is the work of formatting. So if you do not have anything inside of your element, it's gonna get collapsed. All right. Now let's try to put something inside of here. Let's just try to put hello world. We are gonna put hello world and see what happens. To see the changes that you are making on your with your website, it's very simple. Let me share my screen. I need to share the whole screen. All right, sharing the whole screen. And what we will need to do is open a browser of your choice. I would recommend you open Google Chrome. And let's say, let me close all of these links. And all that you have to do is get your VS Code on one side, get your browser on another side, and click on this file and just drag it into your thing, into your browser. So as you can see, there's nothing in here, right? Even though we typed hello world, there is nothing on here. This is just a blank page. But see the changes right here. It says My First Website instead of just saying document as, let me actually show you document. If we type it right here, document, we change it, it changed to document, and now we have hello world printed right here. Let me see why that worked. I think it's because I had spaces in the title of my page, but that's all right. So hello world is printed right here. Again, this is not the right way to put content on your website, but again, this is just to show you hello world is printed. Hello world, exactly, it's copying what we are doing. If we add something else, let's say we add, this is my first website. And save that and see what happens. Again, even though I put it on a different line, and you would think that this is my first website is going to be on a different line, it doesn't do that. Why? Well, because we're not using any of the elements that we were talking about earlier. Again, as we save it, what's going to happen, this text is going to be moved on the other line. And let me make this. And yeah, so everything is on the same line. If we want to separate these two sentences, hello world and this is my first website, we will have to use elements. There's a bunch of elements in HTML. Now there is, as I said, there's a lot of elements, and for you to memorize all of them on the first time of your coding, creating your first website, it will be impossible. So don't be discouraged if you forget something. All of the web developers, they all look something up online. You just need to know where to look. Again, ChatGPT is a great option for you. Just as you're starting, you can ask the questions like, what is the div element? What is the p element and stuff like that. And you can also just Google it, look it up online. Couple of the elements I'm going to introduce you to is the div element. You just type it as div, and let's put our content inside of the div. And let's see what that does to our sentences. If we put the divs, again, save it. And as you can see, after I updated, these two are on different lines. So what div does, div creates a bar for your content, basically a little box for your content where your content goes. And you see that we have two different divs. That means that we have two different boxes. Now we can't see the boxes right now, but I'm going to show you how to make the boxes visible. We will need some help of CSS. Now, let me show you a couple of more elements. There's an element P. P stands for paragraph. So if you want to put some more words onto your website, you will have to use P. And let's see, lorem ipsum generator. We're just going to put some dummy text. Again, dummy text, this is how you are doing if you just want to put some text, some content on your page, you don't really know what you want to put on there yet, but you need some text to be there. This is what web designers use. Lorem ipsum, just called dummy text, lorem ipsum.io. It's going to generate some text for you. So let's just copy this text and put it inside of our paragraph right here. We saved it. Let's update it. And as you can see, this information is printed again. P works similarly to div. Again, you can either use div, you can use P. There's also another thing called span. Span also works similarly, but if you want to put things on the same line, this is what you will use. You will have to use span. So as I said before, div is going to put your content on different lines, and span will put the content on the same line if you ever need that content to be put on the same line. And another thing that I want to show you is how to create lists. That's another thing that, first thing that you need to know about how to create lists. Lists are fairly simple. You will need a couple more elements when you are working with lists, but there's two different types of lists. There is a UL, which UL stands for unordered list, and there's OL, which stands for ordered list. Let's see what the difference is. So UL, again, we type our tag UL, and inside of the tag UL, we need to specify which elements are parts of the list and which elements are not parts of the list. To specify that an element is a part of the list, you have to type LI. LI stands for list item. And let's see, we want to put something like, let's say we want to say best dishes in the world. And we're going to type some of the dishes. Again, don't judge me for the stuff that I'm writing. This is just subjective. Let's say pizza, sushi, gumbo. Let's see, gumbo. And I don't know, let's say burgers. Burgers. Again, let's save that. And if we update it, you see that we have created a list and we have, it doesn't have any numbers. So this list only is, this is an unordered list. Let's create the same list. So let's copy that and we're going to create the same identical list, but we're going to create it with the ordered list. So instead of UL, we're going to type OL. Again, save that. And now we have an ordered list. So it's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the difference between UL and OL. Now this looks, black and white. It's all good and dandy, but we want to make it prettier, right? To make it prettier, let's go back to our PowerPoint. And let me share just the PowerPoint. And let's talk about CSS. So what CSS is, it stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Basically, it's a style sheet language that used to make your website prettier. It usually works with classes and IDs to make your elements perform a certain way, perform a way that you want it to perform and look the way you want it to look. CSS, usually it will be in a separate file. Again, there is some people who like to use CSS within the HTML document itself, but I would recommend that you use CSS as a separate file, put everything in a separate file, just so you separate the modifications that you make to your structure from the actual structure. So two different files for HTML and CSS. There's a couple of things. There are selectors. Selectors, you will select which elements you want to style. So again, remember elements div, p, and stuff like that, ul, li. These are elements that you can just style. And for example, if you want all of your divs to have a certain color, if you want all of your divs to have a red color, you can specify that all of these divs are going to have the background color of red. Same thing with properties. Properties are going to define which style you want to apply to whatever selector you want to apply to. Examples are color, font size. So as I said, background color, that's a property. And then the last thing is a value. Value is you're just going to specify the colors, you're going to specify the font size. So the actual value that you provide to those properties, this is what values are. Again, the background color, red. Red is a value, background color is a property. All right, let's go back and let's apply some CSS to our website. All right, let me share the whole screen again. Okay, let me exit this one. All right, full screen. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and let's open our document. All right, so to create your actual CSS, all that you have to do is click new file and you have to call it, you can call it either style CSS. I like to call it style CSS. Doesn't really matter what you call it as long as CSS is the ending of it, the extension. And what you will have to do is you will have to link your CSS to your actual file. To do that, we have to create the link. Link, you just type link and this is what's going to show up. It's going to specify that this is a style sheet. Again, remember CSS stands for cascading style sheets. So it's going to specify that you want to take the styles that are specified in this link. See where it asks me to type something. Get the styles from this file. Again, we type styles.css, type whatever you named your CSS file. Again, in my case, it's style CSS. Let's save it and let's go back to our style CSS. So the format for styling your elements is fairly simple. So if you want to style the whole family of these elements, right? We have two divs right here. We have two divs, three divs, four divs. We have four divs. We have one P element. We have one UL element and we have one OL element. So if we want to give, as I said, let's give a background color, some sort of background color to our div. To do that, all that you have to do is type the element name that you want to change. In this example is div, we're working with div, and then open your curly braces. After you open your curly braces, this is where you're going to put your properties and where you're going to put your values. Let's say we want to change the background color. Again, fairly simple. This is IntelliSense working, by the way. Right here, this is IntelliSense. It's giving you all of these options to choose from, and it gives you the most common one as a first one. In this case, it's background color. This is exactly what we want. Let's say we want to make it beige. To type the color, you can use hex values, you can use words. Again, all of these properties, they will accept only a certain type of value, and you will learn it as you go. If you're interested in web design, you will just learn which values are accepted. The more you code, the more you create these websites. But let's save it. And see, all of our divs change the background color, not just one, not just two. Every single div that we have changed the actual background color. Let's do the same with P. Let's say we want to change, for P, we want to change the font size. Again, for the font size, we do the font size. Let's make it large. Again, save. See what happens? This text became larger. So CSS is a very cool thing. And when we're talking about web design, they go hand in hand, HTML and CSS, you will always hear these two things are spoken about at the same time because they are inseparable. If you are working with HTML, you will be working with CSS and so on. If you're working with CSS, you will be working with HTML. But let's say we don't want every single div to have this color, right? We don't want this beige color to be applied to every single div. How do we go around that? It's very simple. Your object-oriented knowledge will help you. The classes are coming back. Classes, objects, and stuff like that. The classes are going to be very useful when it comes to CSS because CSS also supports classes, but in a little bit of a different way than what you are familiar with. All that we have to do is type class, and then we have to give it a name. Again, this name can be anything that you want, but I would recommend that you give the name that implies what you are working with. So in this case, this is our first line, the very first line. You can call it the heading. Let's call our class heading. Again, save it. And if you want to apply some styles to a specific class, specific element, all that you have to do, instead of just typing the name of that class, put a dot, you put a dot, and then type the name of whatever class you want to change. In this case, it's heading. And let's say we want to change the background color from beige. Let's change it to aqua. Again, save it. What happens is only one element that we have is and with the background color aqua. So you will be working with classes a lot. You will be working with all of these elements a lot when it comes to CSS. But last thing I want to show you today is let me show you how to see where these boxes are created. Remember, I talked about boxes at the very beginning. So every single thing that you see is actually a box. Think of it as a box. To do that, all that we have to do is click on, let's say, we need to type body because this is one of the elements right here, body. Body, let's say, and we need to change a couple of things. So each one of the boxes, they all have a border. This border is not visible to you or me right now, but this border exists around every single element that we have created. Div, P, UL, OL, there is an invisible border. To make it visible, again, very simple, just type border, and then we have to specify a couple of values. We need to specify how big of a border we want this border to be. In this case, let's say just 5 pixels. And we want it to be a solid border so we can see it. And we have to specify the color. Let's say the color should be red. Again, you see that I am giving multiple values to just one property. To do that, you just need to put it with a comma. So every single value that you want to give, you can put it right after the other by using a comma. Again, save that. And let's see. Oh, this is for the body. All right. Give me 1 second. Div. I think this is what we needed to do. Let me get rid of this. It's either div or HTML. Let me see. Yeah, so this is showing us every single border around the divs. And let's see if it works with HTML. HTML. All right. Head, body. All right, I'll get back to you on that one, but I will show you how to do that actually without coding anything. To do that, you need to press F12. So click F12 on your, as you are working with your browser, you click F12. And this console will pop out on the right side of your web page. Now, this console is, you can use it on any website that you're on. It doesn't matter which website you're on. You can use this console if you click F12 while working with your browser. Now, we want to click on this thing right here. This arrow will allow us to select a single element and yeah, basically look at that element and see what the properties are for that element. Now let's see what it shows us. This one is the HTML. So this is the actual file. It shows us the whole thing. And then if we look at every single one of them, it shows us right here. It shows us that this is a div. The div has a class of heading. Remember, we gave that div a name, heading. It shows us that the color of the text is black, 00000 in hex. The font is 16 pixels Times New Roman. It gives us what the background is. And most importantly, it shows us the actual box that is around. You see that it's highlighted in blue. So this is the boxes. Let's see, best dishes in the world. Again, it shows us that this is a UL right here, and these are the single elements of our lists. So it's pretty cool. You can use it on any of the websites. As I said, I encourage you to go try it and see how complicated these websites are. It's actually pretty amazing and fascinating to just go and look how well built and how structured, for example, Facebook is, or Twitter or Instagram. Just look at how these pages are presented. It's pretty cool. Let me see. I think that's pretty much it. That's all I had for today. To close it, again, just type F12, just press F12, and you can close it. But yeah, if you are interested in this, I would love to talk more about it, and I would love to show more. If anybody has any questions, you are welcome to say and I will answer them. But if you don't have any questions, you're free to go, and I will see you next week. And again, please let me know if this is something that you are interested in, because we can start a little maybe project. We can start a little project working during these code talk Tuesdays, where I will show you how to code something. Maybe we can create our own website. That's something that you're interested in. Let me know and we'll go from there. But that's pretty much it. Any questions for me?